New documents leaked from Google show that they've been lying to us for years about what data they collect about you and how they use it. And I know what you're thinking, Jean-Pierre. Well, I don't care what data they collect about me. I've got nothing to hide. By the end of this video, you might change your mind about that. I mean, I just use Google search. What could they possibly know about me? Google knows just about everything there is to know about you. They are the biggest advertiser in the world. Okay, but why do they even need to know that much? The Philharmonic doesn't need to know anything about me to advertise to me. Why should Google? In the real world, advertisers don't really know who you are. They just put their posters in high traffic areas and hope someone who fits their target finds it. Or do they? When I'm out for my exercise, I'm in a district with a lot of old people. For some reason, when I'm there, I see way more ads about insurance or doctors or healthcare services than when I'm near the city hall, where I see ads about financial services or about concerts. So advertisers target where they place their ads based on who might see them or how old they might be, how rich. That actually makes sense. That's right. And in digital advertising, you have even more control about who you're showing your advertisements to. Okay, but at most, Google knows that I go to Wattpad or Webtoon or whatever. Why should I care? Google knows more about you than you'd think. In fact, I'd be willing to bet that Google knows basically everything about you. They probably know your age, your gender, what your work is. And here's some of the services that Google's parent company runs. There's Google Search, obviously. They know what you search, what kind of links you click, how long you spend on each website before going back to search, what you search after that. And that's not all. They also have Android, where they know what apps you use, how long you spend on your phone, how often you open up your phone, and where your phone is, even if you don't use Google Maps. Speaking of which, Google Maps is able to use their location data to target you with ads. So for example, where you've been, where you are, where you live, where you work. In Google Drive, they know what the contents of your documents are. With YouTube, they know what videos you watch, how often you watch them, until when, and who you're subscribed to. All that data has been collected about you for more than a decade to create your own advertising profile. That is a lot of data, and it feels a bit creepy. But if the ads they target to me are likely to be more meaningful, is that actually a bad thing? The ads themselves aren't the problem, but the fact that they collect all that personal data without most people understanding how much they collect is. That data existing at all means that there's a chance that it could be leaked on the internet if Google get hacked, or they could sell it off to a data broker, who then makes a living selling data to sketchy websites. Or it could even be used to train an AI model that you don't agree with. Well, that's scary, but what's new about these documents that leaked last week? We're learning that Google is even less trustworthy than we thought. They have been lying for years about the data that they use in search results and how it's collected. Do you have an example? The Verge reports that elements Google has explicitly said would have no impact on search actually do. For example, when you're inside of Chrome but not using Google, they can still know which websites you're clicking on. How is that even allowed? I don't think any reasonable person would expect that kind of tracking when they use Chrome. That is a very good question. This kind of data collecting without users' real knowledge or consent is a really gray area. Google was just in trouble for doing that with incognito mode last month. I mean, of course, that's where you go to look at funny cat memes if you don't want people to track you. Well, Google is still collecting your data, even in incognito mode. Wait, what? That's not what anyone would think from hearing incognito. That's what a court found as well, and they were forced to delete that data last month. But this latest document from Google shows once again that they are willing to lie or distort the truth if it allows them to keep collecting more data about you. Okay, but what does Google have to say about that? They probably won't make an official statement, but this is the statement they gave The Verge. We would caution against making inaccurate assumptions about search based on out-of-context information. We've shared extensive information about how search works, while also working to protect the integrity of our results from manipulation. Manipulation? A lot of people try to exploit their search to make money from spam or actually harmful content. And in a sense, Google hiding what they're actually doing is one strong way to stop spammers from knowing how to exploit the system. That's not an excuse for collecting every piece of data about you without your actual consent, though. Okay, you're right. I actually care about not giving them more information than I need now. What can I do to reduce the amount of data that Google has on me? Google has privacy settings hidden away in their accounts. A good starting point is to delete all the data you don't actually need from there and disable optional telemetry or ads targeting, any kind of feature that you don't actually need. That's the case for most tech companies, by the way, from Apple or Microsoft. So if I do that, Google won't collect any more data about me? Well, no. You're still using their services. So the only way to not get tracked is to completely disconnect from the internet. That's not very practical, is it? That's a bit extreme, so there are some easy things that you can change in addition to that to give them less data. Instead of using Chrome, which, as we've discussed, is tracking your every move, you can use Chromium or Firefox, which are at least a little bit safer. Or you could explore alternative search providers like DuckDuckGo, Ecosia. As a general rule, don't post your whole life online if you aren't ready for it to actually stay online forever. Unfortunately, if you speak English, you probably can't entirely escape Google, but by being aware of how you use their services, you can take back some level of control. And speaking of which, I'm taking back control from this week's Tech Asia. Leave us a comment if you have any thoughts about how privacy could be better handled by these companies. And in the meantime, make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss our upcoming coverage of events like Computex or WWDC, where these topics will definitely come up again. Until then, I guess you'll have to take care.